Today is Friday, August 8th. We'll tell you about how Israel is now getting ready for a full military takeover of Gaza. Also, how trading partners are responding to America's new tariffs. And President Trump's new plan for the U.S. Census in the middle of a redistricting fight. Plus, the CDC's first report on ultra-processed foods, ChatGPT's new improvements, and the trend that's putting crypto creators against WNBA players. Those stories and even more news to know coming up. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. Israel is getting ready to take over the entire Gaza Strip. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's security cabinet voted overnight to approve the new takeover plan and said the military would occupy Gaza City right away. More than 1 million Palestinians are living in Gaza City and its immediate surroundings now. So the Israeli military is expected to issue eviction orders before a ground offensive begins. Supporters of the plan say Israel has no other option since the terror group Hamas refuses to put down its arms and will attack again in the future. Critics, though, say a takeover risks more death and suffering for Gaza's civilians, as well as more Israeli soldier casualties. And those critics include Israel's military chief and families of Israeli hostages being held in Gaza now. Some have been protesting overnight. Exact specifics of this takeover plan have not been released, but some reports cite officials who say it will take several months. It's not clear if the terror group Hamas will try to return to the negotiating table in that time, or if doing so would be enough to put these plans on hold. Either way, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu says he doesn't want to control Gaza forever, that after the war is over, he'd like to hand the enclave over to Arab forces, who would give Palestinians a good life without threatening Israel. Here in the U.S., officials say President Trump has decided not to intervene and to let the Israeli government make its own decisions. Stay tuned. Dozens of countries are rushing to respond to new tariffs from the U.S. Even after the deadline, many are now lobbying the White House for exemptions. And some have already been granted, like for Brazilian orange juice and Chilean copper. Just some of the countries still negotiating are Vietnam, Taiwan, and Switzerland, as well as the European Union. And then there are others who are staying defiant and rallying together. For example, the so-called BRICS countries of Brazil, Russia, India, and China are working on a joint response to President Trump. Meanwhile, there's still an ongoing case in the U.S. Court of Appeals that's considering whether President Trump exceeded his authority by imposing new tariffs without Congress. And Trump seemed to reference that on social media, saying, quote, "The only thing that can stop America's greatness would be a radical left court that wants to see our country fail." To be continued. As part of President Trump's latest redistricting push, he's calling for major changes to the U.S. Census. The biggest one being that it would no longer count undocumented migrants. Remember, the census is required by the Constitution, and it only happens once every 10 years. It's essentially a population count of the U.S. The information is used to decide things like where federal tax dollars go, how many members of Congress each state gets, and how congressional districts are drawn, all based on population. And now Trump says the new census will use the results and information from the last presidential election and won't count people who came to the U.S. illegally. It comes as he's also spearheading the effort by Texas Republicans to consolidate GOP power in the state and add more Republican seats to the U.S. House. Trump has said Republicans are entitled to those extra seats based on his showing in the 2024 election. And as we've mentioned, this has set off a nationwide fight with Republicans in other red states and Democrats in blue states saying they'll draw up new maps too. A census without undocumented immigrants could shrink the number of representatives some blue states like California get, since many have large undocumented populations. But it could also lower representation in some red states too, like Texas and Florida. Of course, the Trump administration is expected to face legal pushback from conducting a new census. In fact, it was during the first Trump administration that courts prevented a citizenship question from being added to the census. But Trump says he's already directed the Commerce Department to try again. The FBI has fired 3 more key agents, including one who used to be the acting head of the Bureau. Brian Driscoll was in charge during the first few weeks of President Trump's second term. He's been the recipient of the FBI Medal of Valor and FBI Shield of Bravery, but he resisted demands to fire agents involved in the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. And since then, many of those agents have been fired anyway. And now he's one of them. In a farewell message to his colleagues, he wrote, quote, "I regret nothing." The FBI did not comment on the latest firings. But in the past, each of the agents let go has been criticized by President Trump's supporters for having an anti-Trump bias. And even more top officials are expected to lose their jobs as the Trump administration continues to investigate what it calls the weaponization of the justice system. Another Southern California wildfire has forced thousands of people out of their homes. As of this morning, the Canyon Fire is burning out of control about 60 miles northwest of downtown Los Angeles. Evacuations have been ordered for parts of Los Angeles and Ventura counties, and more could be coming. Hundreds of firefighters are battling the flames from the ground and in the air, but the elements are against them, like hot, dry weather and steep, rugged terrain. And the risk of more California wildfires is expected to stay high throughout the weekend. More news still coming up, but first, thanks to our sponsor, Quince. As summer winds down, I'm all about refreshing my wardrobe with some staple pieces for the season ahead. So, of course, I'm checking out Quince. Quince always has luxe essentials that feel effortless and look polished, and they're perfect for layering and mixing. I'm already eyeing chic cashmere and cotton sweaters for the fall, starting at just $40. And I love having one of their washable silk tops in my closet for layering. I already turned to Quince for my most recent vacation. I've been so impressed with my carry-on suitcase, from the style to the functionality. And of course, I packed a great dress from Quince that was so versatile for my trip. The best part, everything with Quince is half the cost of similar brands. By working directly with top artisans and cutting out the middlemen, Quince gives you luxury without the markup. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes. So elevate your fall wardrobe essentials with Quince. Go to quince.com/newsworthy for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/newsworthy to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/newsworthy. Now back to the news. The American diet seems to be improving, but it's still mostly unhealthy. New data from the CDC says most Americans, and especially children, get more than half of their calories from ultra-processed foods. For now, there actually is not a standard definition for what constitutes an ultra-processed food, but they're typically foods with added salt, sugars, unhealthy fats, and chemicals to preserve their shelf life. And they have little nutritional value. Examples include sweet baked goods, packaged savory snacks, pizza, burgers, and sweetened drinks. The federal government has blamed ultra-processed food for many chronic diseases like diabetes, but finding solutions has been tough. So nutrition experts say it's a good idea to try just lowering the amount of ultra-processed foods we eat every day and instead choose minimally processed foods like chicken, pasta, fruits, and vegetables. Vice President J.D. Vance is facing new criticism over his birthday celebration last weekend. He went with his family to kayak on an Ohio river. And to do so, the U.S. Secret Service had the river level raised. The Secret Service says the water levels needed to be higher to accommodate motorized watercraft and emergency personnel to protect the VP. But critics are calling it a big waste. For example, the chief White House ethics lawyer under former President George W. Bush. He called it outrageous for taxpayers to have to pay for the VP's trip, adding, quote, when budget cuts to the National Park Service have severely impacted family vacations for everyone else. But the Army Corps of Engineers says it's actually standard practice. The same thing happened in 1999 when then Vice President Al Gore paddled down the Connecticut River. Officials opened a dam and released 4 billion gallons of water for that photo opportunity, something Gore also got plenty of political pushback for. Both VPs defended themselves, though, saying they did not ask for more water, and the Secret Service acted on its own. The technology behind ChatGPT just got a major, highly anticipated upgrade. OpenAI rolled out GPT-5. It's a faster, more capable large language model. And OpenAI says it gives people instant access to a PhD-level expert on any subject. It's supposed to have fewer hallucinations, meaning it doesn't make stuff up as often. OpenAI says it's also better at coding, writing, and health-related tasks. In what could be a real game changer, if users have an idea for a new software like an app, GPT-5 can apparently create it based off just a simple written prompt. OpenAI says it did extensive safety evaluations, including 5,000 hours of testing. The new model is available now for both free and paid users. Women's basketball teams have been dealing with an X-rated problem at WNBA games. In arenas from Atlanta to Chicago to Los Angeles and beyond, neon green sex toys have been thrown onto the court. And now we may know why. A group of cryptocurrency creators says it's part of pranks to promote a new meme coin. A spokesperson explained, saying it's not meant to harm anyone or show disrespect toward women athletes. But some players and coaches say it's an example of women being sexualized and not taken seriously. Some spectators who have been caught throwing these toys have been arrested. And now they're facing charges like disorderly conduct, criminal trespassing, and public indecency. Plus, the WNBA says any spectators who throw anything on the court will get banned for at least a year. ESPN's long-awaited streaming service finally has a launch date. The network says it will debut in less than 2 weeks. It will cost $30 a month, include all the ESPN networks, and have all kinds of new offerings. We already told you about expanded deals with the NFL, and now there's a new partnership with the WWE, too. ESPN and WWE reached a 5-year, $1.6 billion agreement that includes exclusive rights to air 10 live events, including WrestleMania. And with that, WWE executives say those events will be bigger and more of a spectacle than ever before. That's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Feel Good Friday, when we bring you one extra feel-good or positive news story before the weekend. But first, this episode is sponsored by Fatty 15. I'm feeling great about making C15 from Fatty 15 part of my daily routine because I want to do everything I can to age better. Their reports say C15 is the first essential fatty acid to be discovered in more than 90 years and that it supports long-term health and wellness. The company explains that when our cells don't have enough C15, they become fragile and age faster, and that as many as 1 in 3 people worldwide may have low C15 levels and cellular fragility syndrome. Well, Fatty 15 is clinically proven to raise C15 levels, resulting in lower cholesterol levels, healthier liver function, improved gut microbiome health, and improved red blood cell health within 3 weeks. It's said to have 3 times more cellular benefits than omega-3 or fish oil, which is a relief because Fatty 15 has no flavor or aftertaste. In fact, it's the easiest pill I've ever had to take, and it comes in this gorgeous reusable bottle with refills that ship right to my door. Fatty 15 is on a mission to optimize your C15 levels to help you live healthier, longer. And you can get an additional 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15.com/newsworthy and using code newsworthy at checkout. Again, get an additional 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15.com/newsworthy and using code newsworthy at checkout. Now back to Feel Good Friday. A pizzeria owner in Minnesota is going viral for an act of kindness after he noticed people eating out of his dumpster. Chris Kolstad owns Pizza Man in Columbia Heights. When he saw people taking leftovers from the trash, he posted on Facebook asking them to stop and telling them to just ask for a free pizza instead. He wrote, quote, "If somebody's going to that length, they're trying to survive." Adding, quote, "I can't sit in a building full of food knowing that." Since then, his shop has given away about 50 pizzas, sometimes leaving them near the back door or delivering them to parks where homeless residents sleep. Plus, he decided to start raising money. He's raised more than $3,000 so far for local food banks, pantries, and shelters. And it's needed. Food insecurity is on the rise in the Minneapolis area, with nearly 9 million visits to food pantries last year. Kolstad says the cost of a small cheese pizza is next to nothing compared to the cost of someone's dignity. As he put it on Facebook, quote, "We can't fix all the world's problems, but enough small steps can reduce them a little at a time." Thank you so much for listening today. We'll be back tomorrow with a special edition Saturday episode. We're talking all about the pros and cons of phone bans in schools, including what teens think about these policies, the impact of each type of ban, and how families can navigate kids' tech use in and out of the classroom. That'll be in your podcast feed tomorrow morning. Then join us again Monday for your next Daily News Roundup. For now, have a great weekend.